Hi everyone, good morning. I was just listening to gospel music and God said, get on the YouTube. And I was like, but I don't have anything to say. And he's like, oh yes you do, you got a mouthful. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Alright, still trying to get over this cold. Just, oh my gosh. Okay, so I guess I'm going to recap my day yesterday. So yesterday I went to work and it was just a normal work day like any other. Um, I started at 10, I did the salads and went through the day, everything was fine. And then, of course, like we always do, we start talking about, okay, who's on for the night shift? And we already knew, the three of us that were working that morning, we're gonna be through rush. What I hadn't realized is that we were the only three. There was one other girl coming in, and then that was it. That was the crew for the night. And we had received a call the day before from a little league team saying that they were coming in to have food. And we're like, okay, so we took their order, we got them ready, everything was fine, everything was great. So the next day, you know, these tickets are printing and everybody's going, and they made the girl who took the orders for these people feel bad. And he's like, you shouldn't have done this. You should just let them come in and order their food because this is going to be a nightmare. And I was like, wait a minute. How can it be a nightmare when you know ahead of time what you need to make? Just have them prepped. Like, if you have, you know, normally when people show up out of nowhere and we're busy and we don't have enough wings made, now we got to wait 20 minutes to drop more wings. And then, you know, we can make those orders. And then those orders are now delayed. Those people are upset and so on and so forth. What they didn't tell us is what the Little League team neglected to tell us. They said 30 people. They meant kids. What they didn't tell us is those kids were bringing parents and siblings. So you went from 30 kids or 30 people to 70 people. And only the majority of the group had made orders, but the other portion of the group didn't. So they're putting their orders in when the other folks are already getting their food. So there's three of us because Cassie went home now before the party started. She's like, I've been here since 9. I went through the first rush. I don't need to be here anymore. And they're like, fine, go home. You know, because that's how those girls were when I first started. They would say, I'm done for the day. I don't want to work anymore. So can I go home and get my tips? And they would be told, yeah, go ahead and go get your tips and go home. And off they went. And so here's me and these two new girls, one of which is underage, so she can't pour beer. And the other one, who got there at 11, is already telling me, I'm tired. And I'm like, dude, you got here at 11. I'm tired. I'm like, we're through rush. You realize that? And she goes, well, what does that mean? I'm like, we're not going home till about 7:30, 8 o'clock. That party is not getting here until 8:15. If we leave, that leaves her all by herself. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm tired. I turn around and this girl is gone. And I looked at Emily, the other girl that was there, and I was like, what happened to Kimberly? And she goes, oh, Cody sent her home. I'm like, what? Okay, okay, all right. So it's just you and me? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, you stay on the register. I'm gonna get this food out as fast as I can, and we'll go from there. Because I had already told Cody in front of the GM, I said, Cody, I will stay until the 8:15 group is served. And he goes, deal. And he just looked at me like, you've been here since 10. That'll put you until 9:30, 10 o'clock. I know. It's okay. I understood. See, this is where God is like, okay, I need you to serve. I need you to bring the light. I need you to be the stand. I need you to fill in for the gap. And I'm like, I got it, Father. I'm in. So at around 6 o'clock, I've been limping since yesterday, since 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, I felt this knot start in my hip. And I'm like, oh, heck no. This is not the day. This is not the time. No. Well, so there is a muscle. It's one of the tendons that goes across the hip area. And it got into a knot and it pulled. And so when it first happened, I was like, okay, this is why God has been telling me, you need to rest. You need to rest. You need to rest. But he hasn't been just telling me I need to rest. He's been telling me I need to stretch. I need to release the muscles from their tightness, because if I'm not careful, I'm going to get hurt. And I already knew this. But I was taking the rest. I was taking the time. And I thought, it's okay. I can do this. I can, and I was stretching when I needed to, but it wasn't enough. The muscles from walking to and from the bus stop, walking at work, you're talking about I am on my feet from 6:30 in the morning until 6:37, between 6:30 and 7:30 at night. I'm on my feet for 12 hours every day. And this isn't it's a leisurely walk, I'm just casually getting to the bus stop. No, this is me, moving and bending and pulling, and I'm carrying things, and I'm pulling things off shelves, 30, 40, 50 pounds. I'm carrying, loads of stuff. I'm carrying boxes. These boxes aren't light. These boxes weigh 50 pounds a piece, because there's 50 boxes, cardboard boxes in these stacks. And I'm carrying them, from one area of the room to another area of the room. I'm taking dishes to the dishwasher. I'm washing dishes. I'm putting dishes away. I'm serving food. I'm helping at the register. I'm answering phones. I'm making pizzas. I'm running the oven. I'm helping the sides guy who's new and getting sides out. I'm taking care of customers and cleaning their tables. I am serving like God wants me to serve. I am on my feet. And so at 6 o'clock, I was like, no, it did hurt. And so now I'm like hopping around on one leg. And so my boss sees me limping. He goes, what's wrong? And I'm like, yeah, my muscle just tied itself in, or my tendon just tied itself in a knot. And he goes, you need to drink more water. And I'm like, that's not it, but it's part, yes. I do need to drink more water. I don't drink enough water. I'm constantly moving, and so when I go to the store today, I'm going to buy, because I just ran out of water, so I need to buy 4 bottles of water, and I need to buy, or 6 bottles of water, because God wants me to start drinking more water. And I'm just like, holy cannoli. Like, this is so much. This is just insane, crazy movie. And so, I'm they know I'm already hurt. Okay? They know I've been there since 10. And they know that I move. I don't stand. I don't. This is Cassie yesterday. Because this is how she tells them, I'm ready to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. She only wants to do what she has to do to get her money, and then she goes home. And that's it. No, can we keep you until, no, I'm done. Send me home. You've got 3 others. They can handle the work. What she doesn't understand is that because she is a senior employee and new employees see that behavior, they look at her and they go, well, if she can go home, I can go home. I haven't been here as long. I don't need to be here. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't. So Kimberly took her leave. I'm tired. When can I go home? I'm tired. My feet hurt. My back hurts. I'm like, girl, you're 23 years old. I'm 48. Now I'm not sitting here. And I told her, you need to stop complaining about the fact that your back hurts and your feet hurt. That's why they hurt, because you're focusing on it. You're just like, oh, my feet hurt, my feet hurt. She's speaking death into her feet. She's speaking death into her back. They're like, Diana, sit down. I'm like, no, it'll work itself out. I'm fine. By the end of the night, I felt the release a little bit, and it didn't hurt as much. And then guess what happened? Because people are seeing me, I'm hobbling. And of course, my bosses, being young men, being funny young men, they're like, okay, Diana, we'll give you a new nickname. What is it? Gimpy. Jackass. And so I'm like, fine, I'm Gimpy today. That's fine. I'll take Gimpy. I'm okay with Gimpy. I don't mind Gimpy. Gimpy is okay by me. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm standing there, you know, and I've got 1, 2, 3. 3 things of pizza. And I'm and I've got a wall of people that I've got to go through. And I'm like, excuse me. Looking back, it's comical. In the moment, no, it was not comical. I was trying to do everything I could to get everybody their food. And so I've got names on tickets. I don't know who these people are. The girls have arrived, the team that is being celebrated, and they're loud. You're talking about 30 little girls trying to be heard. So I am technically screaming the names: Emily, Noah, Rosalind, Jesse, Anthony. And then I found out I had 2 Anthonys. And I'm like, wait, this is Anthony M. You are just Anthony. I'm like, okay, I got to go find the Anthony M. He was outside. And we ended up making 2 of his orders because when he arrived, they didn't know that he was under Anthony, that he had an order under an eat-in order that had been placed the day before. So they made him, they wrote, and they duplicated the ticket. He didn't get charged twice, but we duplicated the ticket. So I told my boss, I'm like, this one's a duplicate. And he's like, great. I'm like, okay. So I told all the parents, I'm like, I need you all to sit down. I need everybody sitting down so I can bring food to the table. And they're like, but we still need to order other stuff. Is there someone from your group who can sit at the table so when I call the name, they can receive the food? And they made their plans, and they parted ways. So now, instead of having 60 parents standing at the register looking and glaring down at the poor Emily, who is the only one on register, because I'm delivering food and Cody's in the back making pizzas and he can't be on the register to help. So this was like, seriously, we needed these girls to stay, and they bailed. And so I don't know what time the boss left, but he did. Oh, no, I do. It was 7:45. And he goes, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm like, nope, you gave me tomorrow off. I won't see you till you get back. I'm like, have a wonderful day off. Have a wonderful trip. See you on the way back. And he's like, oh, okay, bye. He walks out the door. Because after 7:30, he's released from his duties as a GM and the support for the other manager. So he can go ahead and go home and do his thing. So the night manager, he didn't know he only had one person closing. Usually there's two. And I said, hey, Cody, you only have a closer. You don't have a pre-closer. He goes, oh, fabulous. I said, but I am helping Emily out. I said, I will make sure that you guys have enough boxes. I will make sure that you guys don't, I will stack you with boxes so that not only is your night okay, but you're going to have enough boxes to start the morning tomorrow because I'm not working. I've got the day off. I made sure they knew I've got the day off. I'm not here. Don't depend on me. I'm out. Peace. God, please don't let them call me in. It's not that I don't want to work. This is my only day off until next Sunday. So from Sunday to Saturday, I am working nonstop. I'm closing Monday, and then I'm opening, and I'm opening, and I'm opening, and then I'm working a couple mids, and then I'm opening. Yeah, so that I'm it for the next 9 days because Cassie's on vacation. So today was not her last day. She still has to come in tomorrow to work. And she was trying to get me to work on Monday, her shift in the morning. And she had seen that I was being listed as off. What she didn't realize is that, no, he didn't put me off. I'm actually closing because he doesn't have anybody to close that night. So I'm closing that night, and then he's got somebody covering the rest of the week. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm only one person. Then anyway, so they're laughing at me because they're calling me Gimpy. And I told them, she's already got the back kitchen done. She doesn't have to worry about that. I said all she's gonna have to do is Parmesan cheese and the bathrooms, and then she could do her regular clothes. And he just looked at me like, you just did everything the pre-closer does. Yeah, with the exception of the cheese. I didn't do the cheese. I don't like doing the cheese. It's not my favorite thing to do. It's tedious and I don't like it. I will do it if I have to, but Emily was grateful. Emily was like ecstatic. She's like, I don't have to be here by myself. And then so, I'm calling out. Everybody food goes out. We do have a couple of hiccups. Throw them to the manager, say, deal with that. I don't have time. And then I told Emily, okay, Emily, I need you to do me a huge favor. She goes, what do you need? I said, I need you to check all of the eat-ins, see what's left open, and let me know. Well, while she was pulling up the eat-ins, a woman came in that is kind of like a helper to the coach. She's one of the volunteer parents. She's, if the coach needs something, nobody else volunteers. This is the woman that goes in. She's me, the coach. So she's at the register, and I'm like, hey, did you pull up the receipts? And she goes, yeah. And the woman says, you know what? I know who these people are. I will get them these receipts and I will make sure that they pay. I'm like, okay, perfect, thank you. Nobody was coming up front. So I went looking for her. I'm like, oh, there you are. And I'm like, she pointed to the table in front of her. She goes, they're all right there. I'm like, oh, perfect. And I said, hey guys, we need to close out your tickets. So you don't have to go to the register. I can take care of it for you. I just need your payment card or whatever method of payment you're doing. Without even hesitating, every single one of them gave me their receipt, gave me their card, and I went to the back, to the front, to the register. And these two little girls came up and they're like, oh, can we have change? I'm like, I'm so sorry. The gentleman in the middle can get you change. And so they went and they stood in the middle register. And here comes Cody, because he went to go pick up a pizza for a customer that was picking up. And Cody comes around the corner and he's like, oh, you guys need change? I'm like, perfect setup. And so he's kind of watching me, but not really. So I'm charging card after card after card. I'm like, okay, this one goes with this one, this one goes with this one. And so here I go. And I'm like, Lamar, da-da, da-da, da-da. And you're the only one that needs to sign. He signed. He gave me his receipt, gave me a $10 tip. I'm like, woo. And I went back. And the woman whose order was only $16. That's all she had. She came up to the front. She goes, I need to give you a tip because you were phenomenal. She goes, the way you handled the group, the way you managed us, you told us all, go sit down, get your food. We're like, well, we need drinks, we need this. You're like, okay, then someone from your group needs to sit down so I can just deliver food. And we split up, and she goes, you did phenomenal. It was the smoothest amount of work that I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone handle it so well. And because of that, you deserve a tip. I'm like, well, thank you. I really appreciate it. So I said, well, there's not a way for you to, unless you have cash, but if you don't have cash and you want to put it on the card, I said, just sign the receipt and I'll put it in the system and I'll leave the receipt there with your signature. She gave me a $10 tip. And every person that tipped us last night tipped us a $10 tip. Now, because it was just me and Emily and I are the only ones that are going to share in the night tips for that day. Nobody else is. Because everybody else left before that group got there. Another group that had been there before, just before this group, it was a group of 30 young men. They're teenagers, but they were all, ranging from 15 to 18. And they were with a group of parents. They were the chaperones. And so all the kids came in, they placed their orders, and I took care of them, the majority of them. Because when I want to be fast, I can be fast. I was just like, kind of getting through them. And so every single one of them, I don't do, especially in that large of a group, multiple people on one number. Is it easy? Yes. Is it cumbersome when you're trying to get the food out? Yes, because now you've got two people that you don't know who are in a sea of faces that you don't recognize, and you're trying to deliver their food. And you're going, I have an order for number 10, and number 10 is like, I already got my order. I'm like, was there somebody else on the same number? And then I heard, yes, over here. I'm like, okay, there you go. So then the parents' food came out. And so I'm delivering their food. And I'm like, oh, so you guys are the chaperones. And she's like, keep it on the down low. We don't want anybody to know that we're responsible for them. I'm like, okay. I understand. I get you. And I said, I just want to tell you how nice and organized and polite these young men were placing their orders. They couldn't have been any better. You guys are racing them right. They're doing they did a great job. And they're like, are you sure you're talking about our kids? Like, I don't know. I don't think you've got the right kids. And I'm like, no, really. They're really, really well behaved. I said they stood in line. They, were ready with their orders. They were proficient. They moved so smoothly. I was very impressed. And I said, and I'll tell you, we get kids that are not as well behaved. And I want to tell them to leave. And I said, so thank you for, bringing up such good young men. Because it was just young men. There was no girls in the group. It was just a bunch of young men. And the adults were like, thank you so much for taking the time to give us the feedback. We don't always know what their behavior is outside of. But they weren't the first group. Earlier in the day, we get these kids from this prep school that's near where we work, where the store is. And we also have Catholic kids. There was a group of Catholic girls earlier in the day because they get Fridays half day. There was a small group of Catholic, I want to say Catholic. They might be Christian. I don't know. I don't always pay attention to the labels on their uniforms, but I know it's a religious school, and it's either Catholic or Christian, because they wear uniforms, and the uniforms are past their knees, like the skirts are past their knees. So I know it's not like a regular private school. So these girls were in the bathroom smoking, and Kimberly caught them. And I know I'm kind of all over the place, but just bear with me. So this happened in the afternoon. This is before the young men showed up, and I told her, I said, "What did you do?" And she goes, "Well, I told them they can't be smoking in the bathroom. It's not okay." And I said, "Okay, that's fine. You can tell on that." And she goes, "Should I tell Will?" I'm like, "Yeah, I would tell Will." And she goes, "I'm going to call their teachers." And I'm like, "Go ahead." And I said, "And when you're done doing that, you got to sing Smoking in the Girls' Room." Of course, the song goes Smoking in the Boys' Room. But, yeah, I was being funny. And they didn't win. Rebellious teenagers. We all have them. We've all been them. We just have to try and guide them better. So we're talking, and Will walks up, and he goes, "What are you guys talking about?" And she goes, "Should I tell him?" I'm like, there was some girls, some of those girls in the bathroom smoking. And he's like, "What? Which ones?" So Kimberly goes, "Those three right there, they were in the bathroom smoking." And he goes, "Oh, I'll call the sister. I have her on speed dial." And I said, "Yeah, but Will, after you call her, you're going to have to sing Smoking in the Girls' Room," because the teacher busts the boys in the boys' room. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Anyway, so fast forward. Oh, so these two young boys, they go to the prep school. They don't go to the religious school. They come in every day, and they bounce off who buys lunch or dinner or whatever you want to call it after school. Sometimes they have a big group. Sometimes it's just the two of them. And we started talking because the last time one of the young men was there, they were there with three others, not the young man that was with him yesterday. And they had talkies, and they made a mess. And when I went to go clean the table, I had to pull the table out and sweep underneath because it was literally like they had thrown them on the floor and they just stomped on them. And so the young man was telling his friend, he's like, "No, it wasn't him. He was telling me, no, it wasn't him." I said, "No, I know it wasn't him. I know it was the other kid, the other boy." And so they started to talk to each other about which boy it was. And the young man, who's kind of quiet, kind of looks at me like this, like, and he looks up at me and he says, I'll make sure that never happens again. He goes, I will call him to attention. And I said, see, that is why I like you boys, because you hold each other accountable. I had a situation happen, and I'm letting you know that it was not appropriate, and now you're telling me that you're going to go back to your group and you're going to tell them that that behavior is not okay. And I said, and I appreciate that. And these kids do. When they come in, they're like, oh my God, my favorite cashier. I'm like, okay. So this boy goes home because his dad got there. And so he went home. His dad brought him back because they ordered pizza because they were going over to their grandparents' house. And I wasn't helping the man. My boss was the general manager, Will. And so he's helping the gentleman. He's taking, his number and information. He goes back to get the food. And as he goes back, I see the young man. I'm like, oh, you're back for more? And the dad looks at me and he goes, is he in here a lot? And I'm like, every day? I said, he's one of my favorites. He's a nice young man. And he looks at his son and he looks at me and he goes, are you sure you're talking about my son? I'm like, oh yes, him and his friend. I said, they're my favorites because they keep the rest of the group in line. I said, we had a situation and I told these two boys the situation, and he's like, no, we'll make sure that never happens again. And I was like, well, thank you so much. You guys are so good. That's why I like it when you guys come in, because you're always well behaved. And now he's starting to stand up straight. He's like, yeah, Dad, see. And his dad looks at him and he goes, I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud that you're being a good young man. As we're having this conversation, my boss shows up. And the dad starts to tell us that for the summer, he's going to have him work at his grandparents' restaurant because, he needs to put him to work. And I said, hard work is important, especially at a young age, because it teaches you discipline and it teaches you responsibility. And the dad looks at me and he goes, that's exactly why he's working. And I said, so how old are you? And he goes, I'm 15. I'm like, okay. So you'll be working for us next year? And he just smiled. And I looked at Will and I said, that's our future employer right there. And he goes, but he's only 15. Next summer, Will. Next summer. I'm scouting.